Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Manda and today we are going to be starting a 2-week reading vlog. So normally on Mondays I post a weekly reading vlog, but in the month, it was like end of June, beginning of July, all of July, I moved and so I got out of doing them, but they're coming back. This video is going to be 2 weeks, not one, but hey, hopefully that just means some more reading, more fun, more excitement. We need to pick out some books to read. I have been slumping hard. I just finished up my trying to read 50 pages a day challenge, so I've actually already read 70 pages today, and I feel so in the mood to physically read. Currently, I have 2 audiobooks going. One is Words of Radiance, which I've been listening to for months. No pressure, whatever. It's a reread. The other one is A Master of Jinn. I have that from the library and I have been slowly making my way through it. That means it's time to pick a new physical book. They have a few stacks of books in front of me and then I have some stacks behind me that we're gonna go look at in just a minute. These are the books that I need to be finishing up before the end of the month, which is these 2 weeks. So I need to read, I need to reread The Name of the Wind. I need to read Crown of Gilded Bones, and I need to read Legacy of Steel. Legacy of Steel I am starting on Thursday with a friend. The other 2 I have basically all month to read. I don't think these are what I'm going to be picking up. Plus, The Name of the Wind and Crown of Gilded Bones, even though I have the physical copies, I'm going to be mostly listening to them and then just using the physical copies as note-taking devices. I'm kind of in the middle of these 2 books. I've started one chapter of What Big Teeth. It didn't pull me in like I wanted it to, but it was the prologue that I read, so I honestly feel like I should give the first chapter an honest shot, so I might be doing that. And then I am about 130 pages into Hold Back the Tide, and I'm just bored with the book and I don't want to be reading it, so it's kind of just been sitting on my shelf because I don't want to DNF it, but I don't want to be reading it. And then this morning I did finish Song of... the battery's flashing at me. Hold up. This morning I finished up Song of Blood and Stone, so I could pick up the sequel, which I have. And that would be really nice. But since I'm going to be starting Legacy of Steel on Thursday, I don't think I'm going to have enough time to read a 500-page book in that amount of time. That left me thinking that it would be really fun to do like try a chapter tag again. I did one a few weeks ago. I did one about a year ago. I love the idea. I love the concept. So I'm gonna pick like 2 books off my shelf and then this, and we're gonna try a chapter of them and we're gonna see what I like. We're not doing all my books. I have this pile which is like, please, I need to get to this soon. I really, really, really want to read these books. And then I have this pile, which is like, yes, I need to read them, but maybe not like in the next 2 weeks, minus a few that are buddy reads that are already scheduled. I guess it would make the most sense to just pick up these 3 and give them each a try. Yeah, that makes sense to me. The only other one that I might consider picking up is Rules for Vanishing. That is not a library book. I own that. I bought it from a library. Let's see if I can peel that off. Okay, so these are the books that we're gonna give an honest to God shot to right now. So I feel like I'm really not in the mood for magical realism right now, so that tells me that probably these top 2 aren't gonna get selected, but I'm throwing them in here anyways because really I just want to read an awesome book. Okay, so I've tried a chapter of every single book, and I had a really weird dinner, so I'm having a bowl of cereal while we talk. I usually drink cashew milk instead because it lasts longer, better, whatever, lots of different reasons out there, but I prefer cashew milk to almond milk, but my mom got me to try almond milk this time, and it's not bad, but I definitely prefer cashew milk, and if you haven't had cashew milk, I hecka recommend you go trying it out. Hey, and now I do the worst thing known to mankind. which is I let my cereal sit for a few minutes before starting to eat it. So I tried a chapter of all 5 books. Actually, I didn't try a full chapter of all 5 books, but I read a section of all 5 books. Should I tell you now or at the end what I think I'm going to continue on with? I'll tell you at the end. So I started out with Blades of Secrets. Not feeling it, not gonna lie. It felt just very meh. Average, nothing like really stood out to me as super significantly great. This is Trisha Levenseller's 3rd book, and I've only read one other book by her, which was the, I don't know, it's the one that everyone talks about. I can't think of what it's called. It's been over a year since I read it, and I thought that one was pretty meh. Saying that though, I only read one chapter, so we're following a girl who is like a swordsmith, and she has bad anxiety, and she imbues magic into her swords. And that's pretty much all I learned from the first chapter, and it just wasn't enough to like pull me in. And then I tried out a chapter of What Big Teeth. I only read a few pages of this because I knew from reading that it was going to be a book I was going to really enjoy, just not right now. When I was in the mood for it, I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to be fine because it had this like mysterious family in a small town vibes, and I really like that, especially when you mix it with like paranormal or magical realism event. Then I tried Star Eater. I only read 2 pages of this because I like couldn't focus on it, and I figure, you know what, if I can't focus on the first 2 pages, I'm not pushing through for the next few days. I'll read this another time when I'm in the mood for it. And then I tried Rules for Vanishing, which was kind of hard to determine what one chapter was because this is a mixed media book. So I read like one page was one thing, the next page was like a different thing, and then like the next 8 pages were like part 1. So I read those, and I'm really into it. I'm enjoying it. A girl's sister went missing a few years ago. The town got this mysterious text message saying that if they want to find the mystery of this other girl who went missing like 100 years ago, they have to play this game. It's told in this like mixed media format, kind of like Blair Witch Project, but in a book about these kids who I know from reading the back eventually are going to play this game to try and find this girl's lost sister. This sister who went missing a few years ago. And then finally I picked up The Atlas 6. I only read the prologue, which is a mistake. I know not to read prologues. They bore me and make me angry, and I just then don't want to read books. The prologue of this book was written really weird. Like the language was like way above my head, and there were like whole paragraphs that I just skipped because I was like, I couldn't care less about this book. Not about the book, but like about what this prologue is saying, because the prologue probably isn't going to mean anything for the rest of the book. So after doing that, I was like, you know what, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be moving on with Rules for Vanishing. So I'm just going to set this down, and when I'm ready to read this book, I'm going to actually like sit and read the first chapter for the first time. My cereal should be ready now, and I'm going to take it upstairs and do some more reading in Rules for Vanishing. Actually, first, I think I'm going to tab it out so I know how much I need to read every single day so that I can finish this by Wednesday night. And then we're gonna read. It's getting real. Full stop. This book's getting scary. I wasn't like ready for that. Like, I know this book is horror, but I guess I wasn't ready to be scared, because usually YA horror isn't like scary. It's like thrilling. But this is like, oh my god. I'm gonna keep reading. I have 5 pages left in this chapter, and then I'm going to breathe deeply, and then I'm gonna make my way upstairs. Okay, I made it upstairs, and my dudes, I legit don't know if I can keep reading this book tonight. I still have like a good 30 minutes that I could read before I will probably pass out unconscious, but I'm gonna try, because the next section kind of switches from what we've been in. The whole entire book is mixed media. I don't know if I've mentioned that. And so the last section we were in was like a normal chapter that you would read in a normal book, where like our main character Sarah is kind of talking about her experience. And then the next chapter is flipping to an interview after the fact with one of the other characters. So I think I'm gonna be pretty safe to flip to this chapter and read it. I'm gonna attempt it. That last chapter, it did something that like always freaks me the hell out, no matter movie, TV show, book, real life. And it's literally just people standing really still. Like, I can't do it in a horror setting, of course, where like you're walking along and people are just standing still, like off in the distance, and you just have to walk past them. Can't do it. And we just had that. But I'm loving the book. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's probably going to be a 5-star, and I'm only on page 126. The next like part is in 10 pages. I'll get to part 3 if I do that. So I'd really love to make it that far. But in order to do that, I have to make it through the interview, and then I have to make it through another one of like Sarah's chapters. Something else crazy that this book just did is they literally just a whole entire character disappeared and no one in the book noticed. The only reason why I noticed is because in one of the interviews, one of the person who's doing the interview like asked like, oh, where was this specific person while all this was going on? And our main girl Sarah was like, who's that? Who the hell is that? And it's someone who had been in the book up until this point. From that moment on, the character was never mentioned again. And I went back after like reading about 50 pages after that mark. I went back for before the interview to like track back to when the last time the character was mentioned. And I found it, and there was like nothing to indicate that the character was just gonna drop off the page at that moment. That's crazy. Like this book is so good, so genius. I kind of wish I was listening to it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I love physically reading it, but I love listening to horror. I think that it's the way that it should be told. I just got back from the library. As you saw, I decided to run out there today because I had some free time, and I'm not sure how much free time I'm going to be having over the next few weeks, and I needed to get 3 books for the next month's secret TBRs. Of course, I dumbly checked online and didn't pay attention to which branch they were all at, so I was only able to get 1. You'll be seeing me read this book in the month of August, so until then, the other 2 I can't really tell you about, so cool. Moving on. Last night I stayed up and read 150 pages of this book. So I am officially at page 190, which means that I was 10 pages away from hitting my goal yesterday of what I wanted to read. And I was so tired because I stayed up way past my bedtime to read this book that I avoided getting up and working out this morning, which is something I haven't done for the sake of reading in years. So I'm loving this. This is so good, so spooky, so scary. Like, I am afraid while I'm reading this book, but I'm loving it. It's got this like found family, but they're all dysfunctional and they don't work great together, but also like they're doing their best. And I think I've told you what this book is about a few times now in this video, but like there are this group of kids who they're all looking for one of the girls' sister who disappeared 2 years ago, and her sister was obsessed with this road that was supposed to appear in their town where this one girl hundreds of years ago, or like 50 to 100 years ago, disappeared on the road. And so Becca, the sister, they believe got taken by the road, got lost on the road, and then they all got this mysterious text message one day basically saying that the road was going to be open again, and they all joined together to walk the road. And the road is very much not a metaphor. The road is very much not magical realism. I mean, this book is magical realism. I definitely would categorize it as that, but it's a road. It's a physical road that these people are walking, and they're not allowed to step off of it the entire time they're on it. And there are 7 gates on the road, and they believe that if they get to the 7th gate, they will find Becca. And where I'm at, I think they just passed through gate 3. No, did they pass through gate 4? They're either in like the land of 3 or they've just passed gate 4 and they're in 4. But it's So good. I love it. I love the mixed media elements with the interviews and everything. It really makes it read quickly. I haven't read 150 pages in a physical book in so long, and it felt really good. And then today I got up and I've listened to a large chunk of my audiobook, which hasn't happened in a really long time. I listened 4 hours on times 1.75 speed today. That hasn't happened in so long. And so I feel like this book is helping. I also forgot to mention, because I forgot about it completely myself, is this book is actually part of my 5-star prediction video that I made a few weeks ago at this point. So I am not reading it for its own specific vlog. I'm reading it for this video, but whatever it gets rated, I'll put that rating into my spreadsheet so that next time I do a video on my 5-star predictions, it'll have whatever I rated this into the average rating, because I am doing like a game, I guess you can call it, where I try to see if I'm even close to accurate with my 5-star predictions. I had 15 of them, and I'm gonna be slowly reading them through. It's probably gonna be like 2 or 3 years because some of them aren't published yet. I'm gonna see how close I got by the end. And so far, you all have seen 2 of the books. I have read 3 of them though. The first 2, one was a 4-star, one was a 5-star, and then the third one was a 2-star. So this one will help bring my average back. Today's Wednesday, family dinner night. I got to get going over to my parents' house, but I will talk to you all when I have more things to say. 1 minute. I said to myself, Amanda, make sure you have everything when you start filming, and then you don't have to get up and run awkwardly and then try to do a talk while you're out of breath, and it's just, I didn't have everything I needed. So I ended up reading a ton over the past 2 days. It's Friday now, but I think I'm officially out of my slump. I'm not even knocking on wood, my dudes. Like, it's real. It's going so strong. I can't be jinxed. Tomorrow's gonna suck because we're doing renovations all day tomorrow, and I'm visiting family on Sunday. But I want to read, and I've been reading. And in fact, I have 2 books to talk to you about. Well, 1 really, because the other one's for a different video. But I finished 2 books today. Heck yeah. So the one that I'll talk to you guys about is Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall. I've been talking to you guys about it a lot in this video. I loved this. It got a 5-star. It was part of my 5-star prediction, and I was correct. It's a little sticky right here because there was a sticker. Loved it so freaking much. I want to instantly reread it. That's how much I'm enjoying it. Just thinking about it. It will be a book that I reread. I'm so glad I own it. I'm so glad it'll be on my shelf. I can't wait to talk to you guys about it in my wrap up, which I'm so psyched about this book. I want so many people to read this book, but I don't talk about fantasy. All I talk about is fantasy. I don't talk about horror that often, so I don't have an audience or a group of people around me where I can be like, look, I read a good horror book. It scared me. You should read this too. Especially for a YA horror. I haven't read a ton of YA horror in my life. I've read a few books, and I've pretty much enjoyed all of them, not gonna lie. Wilder Girls, I really enjoyed. Horrid by Katrina Leno, I really enjoyed. I know there's some more over there, but I'm not gonna try and list all of them. But this one was so good. Highly recommend. If you're sitting here and you're like, yeah, well, I could do with a little bit of YA horror. It's weird, it's crazy, it's very violent, lots of people die, very gruesome. Don't recommend reading it at night, but I highly recommend reading it. Say goodbye to Rules for Vanishing now. So that leaves me with needing to start a new book, and oh my god, I have to leave again. Hold up. I said to myself, Amanda, make sure you have everything when you start filming this clip, and I literally grabbed 1 thing. I needed 3 things and I grabbed 1 of them. So I finished my audiobook today. We're not getting into that because it will be coming out, that video will be coming out shortly, so you'll see it then. But I then decided to pick up my next audiobook was going to be The Name of the Wind, which is a reread for me. It's my book club's pick for the month, and I definitely had like a slow start getting into this book. I was like, damn, is this book gonna put me right back into my slump? And since it was a reread, I decided to skip the beginning part of the book where Koth, his name's hard to say. Koth is like as an adult, and I just skipped to the part where he's like a kid, and then I read on from there. Guys, I read 200 pages today. I mean, I don't know how many pages I skipped, to be honest, because I'm doing the audiobook, but I listened to the equivalent of 200 pages today, which is close to 8 hours, but I'm listening on times 2 speed, so let's just call it I listened for 3 hours to this book today. I'm now really digging it. It's really slow. It's really got a lot of details that while you're listening to it or reading it, you're just like, wow, is this really important to me? But there's something about the world that you just kind of slowly fall in love with. I have read this book on my channel previously, so I won't be talking about it a lot here, and I know that this is like a beloved adult fantasy by many people, but this is the story of Koth, and he is an adult, and his chronicler comes to him one day and says that he wants to hear the story of Koth's life, and Koth says, I will tell it to you in 3 parts. And book 1 is the first part, which follows him as a young child growing up with his family and then being orphaned on the streets and then eventually going to this magical school where he learns how to kind of use magic. And then part 2 is the next book, and then part 3 is the third book, which hasn't come out yet. And I've just now noticed that both of these books have a very similar cover. Like, I know the colors are different and everything, but you've got like a figure standing with like trees wrapped around them, and okay, I think these covers officially conspiracy, they were designed by the same person. So that's my audiobook. I'm really hoping to wrap that up in the next few days. So I need a new physical book. I have picked up my next read, which is a buddy read that I was supposed to pick up yesterday. Totally fine that I'm waiting a day. I told her everything that happened, slump, month, everything. She's cool. We're cool. Life is cool, but I am now going to start reading Legacy of Steel. Heck yeah. So I've tabbed it out into 50-page segments. I'm hoping to read 100 pages tonight. It's only 7:20 right now. I do need to shower, but beyond that, I don't have anything else to do. And then I'm kind of hoping I can wake up early tomorrow morning and read another 50 pages, and then maybe tomorrow night, but I don't know for sure I'll be able to do that. This book is the sequel to Legacy of Ash, which was my favorite book of last year. This book came out about a year ago, to be honest, and I keep pushing off reading it because I'm just really nervous and really scared. And one of my friends contacted me and she said that she read the first book and loved it and that she was interested in reading books 2 and 3 with me. So I was like, heck yeah, that's gonna be the only reason why I actually continue to move on, because when you put a label like my favorite book of all time or my favorite book of the year onto a book, the sequel is just terrifying. Book 3 comes out in August, so we're going to be reading this together right now, and then book 3 as soon as it arrives in August, which I think is actually near the end of August. That gives me plenty of time. I'm hoping to finish this up before the end of July. Book 1 took me 13 days to read, I think it was, so I won't be mad if this one takes me 2 weeks. I'm gonna go read this book. Wish me luck. I'm scared. This book is huge, guys. This book is huge. And I can't wait to get my hands on book 3. I'm stalling. Okay, bye. Yesterday I played TBR bingo for the month of August, which means that even though it is July still, I get to start reading for the month of August board. So let's look at that. If you don't know what the board looks like, I can show you in the video. It's linked somewhere. But this morning I decided to get up and read my first book for the month, which was A House at the Bottom of the Lake, which I was reading for author different than me. So I am now playing TBR bingo slightly different. Every single month I seem to change it up slightly. So that means that these slots around the ones that I get to pick, I still get to flip like always. That's nothing new. But now they are like prompts that are action items that I have to do with you in the vlog at some point. My light's dying, hold up. So I have just pulled the slot for author different from me, as you saw, and that means I get to flip these too, and they're gonna be action items. So we're gonna see what I might be doing in either this vlog or the next one, just depending on length of vlogs. So the top one says, buy a wanted item. So that means that I get to go shopping for something that I really want that I keep pushing off buying because I hate buying things for myself. We'll have to figure what out that item is. I have one thing in particular in mind, but it's too expensive for right now. And then the other one is read before bed. Okay, well that's pretty easy. I might take that one up tonight actually because it is almost 9 o'clock. I've been struggling with my printer for like the last hour. It's time to get ready for bed and then go read in bed. Oh, let me talk to you really briefly about A House at the Bottom of the Lake. God, did I hate that book. What was that book? If you've read it, leave a comment down below and tell me your thoughts and opinions because so it's marketed as a horror story, and there were definitely like attempts at being a horror book, but it was not scary. It was like a summer romance meets a horror done bad, and then there was like no point to the entire book. Like I got to the end and the ending was crap, like awful, like one of the worst endings of all time, and then it like undid the whole entire build-up, and not in like the oh it was all a dream way, like in a completely different dumber way. If you've seen TBR Bingo, I kept saying in the video like, oh, I'm picking this book because it's short and I need short books this month, and short books are great because like who cares if they're bad, they're really short, I'll get through them quickly. This one sucked. Like this one wasn't even worth the 4-hour audio that it was, and I listened on ×2 speed, so I only listened to 2 hours of it, but like God. So it's about these two teenagers who go on their first date and they decide to go canoeing, and while they're canoeing they see a house at the bottom of the lake, and then all throughout the summer they keep coming back to this house at the bottom of the lake and like seem drawn to it, and nothing happens in the house at the bottom of the lake. Like they get like scuba gear and they swim down there and they have a grand old time, and like slowly they build a raft so they can like live out on the lake longer and be there with the house more, until, small spoiler coming ahead, the house like scares them. It wasn't even scary, I'm not gonna lie, like it wasn't scary at all. They heard like a noise in the house, like dude, it's underwater. They hear a noise and then they're like, oh, we should never return to the house again. And then they decide to return to the house again. That was the entire book. There's like 30 minutes more after what I just said, but that was the book. That was it. There was also this really weird on-page sex scene. I'm not even getting into it. I'm so glad I'm done with it. I'm so glad I've read my first book for the month. I always like when I start off the month with just like knocking something out right out of the beginning. It was really fun to be able to do, but it was not fun to read. Okay, I'm officially ready for bed. My camera is charged. I have my book in front of me. I'm very, very close to 300 pages in The Name of the Wind, so I'm gonna set that down for tonight because it's 9:15 and I'm ready to go to sleep, but I can't until I read before bed for you all. I don't know why I just turned that into like the weirdest song ever. Physically reading along with the audiobook, so I'm pulling the audiobook up now. Let's get started.
First night out on patrol and the sky's open. And soldiers fall into the dark.
It's been a few days. It's Wednesday, July 28th, so it's time to make some adjustments. So last we talked, you saw me reading in bed, so I'm going to remove that. I still haven't figured out what I want to buy, so I'm thinking about it. That'll probably be in next week's vlog. And I've done some reading, so let me check my notes to make sure I get this correct. So last we talked, I had read A House at the Bottom of the Lake. I forgot to tell you what I rated that book. I rated it 1 star. I don't remember the last time I rated a book 1 star, and honest to God, it probably was closer to a 2 star, but I was so angry at it that I was like, 1 star, I'm done. Then I started and finished Bone Gap, which I was reading for bones on the cover, so let's remove that one. And I loved that book. It was so good. It was right up my alley. I want to buy it. Maybe that'll be my wanted item that I buy, is a copy of Bone Gap. Would that mean that it counts towards bingo or no? I don't know, I'll have to think about that one. Loved it. It reminded me so much of I Crawl Through It by A.S. King. There's this whole entire like pressure on students to do well, and also these like misunderstood kids and kids who have gone through some type of trauma. And it also has this like weirdness about it where like things are metaphors, but they're also real, but they're also like just metaphors. And it was so good. Stories about this place called Bone Gap. I don't remember where it is actually, what state it's in, but in the United States, in Bone Gap, there are gaps that people fall through. This woman named Rosa was staying with these two boys, and she had fallen into their lives, and then she had disappeared one day and no one could find her, and no one basically believed Finn, our main character, that the darkness took her. The story is him trying to make friends, trying to find Rosa, trying to reconnect with his older brother, trying to deal with life, and trying to pass standardized tests so that he can get into college. And it was just so good. I rated it 4.5 out of 5 stars. There is face blindness representation. It doesn't come up until near the end of the book. And I never talk about this on my channel, but I am a bit face blind. So I can recognize like my own face, and I can recognize people's faces if I'm around them long enough. But brand new people I cannot recognize. And people like at work, I've learned to recognize their faces based on their environment. So if I see them anywhere except for at work, like I won't recognize them. And it was really interesting to, I've never read a book about someone who's face blind before, which is one reason why I don't talk about it a lot, is because it's not something that you talk about with people. And I actually didn't know about it until I was in college, when I started watching like TV shows with friends, and I would start asking questions like, oh, who's that character? And they'd be like, it's literally the guy we saw in the last scene, he's just changed his outfit. Or like I would be shopping with people and I wouldn't recognize them in the store because the store was a new location. So something in college that I realized about myself, and something I've learned to kind of just live with. And what was really, really cool though was hearing this character talk about some of the things that he does so that he recognizes people. And one of them is something that I do a lot too, which is you like learn their outfit the day you run into them. Like you run into them, you hear their voice a lot of times, and you're like, oh, okay, that's Leslie. Leslie's wearing a blue blouse with jeans. So if I see a blue blouse with jeans the rest of the day, I know it's Leslie. I don't have to like try to piece together her face. And then also he learns who people are based on their movement. And that's something that I really, really do. And a lot of times you'll catch me saying like, oh, these two people look a lot alike. And what I mean is they move really similarly. Something about the way that they move is the same. And so that was really cool. It's like a really small part of the book. And like I said, it doesn't come up until like maybe 80% through the story, but I haven't read a book about it, and it was so amazing to see someone struggle with something that I've struggled with. I will be flipping this in just a second, but I also finished The Name of the Wind, which I read for Randomize. So I'm going to be removing that one as well, and I also get to flip this one. And then I want to briefly say that I did start Cinder, and I can't do it, so I'm going to be replacing it with something else, and that was for the prompt book I pushed off. I don't know what I'm going to use yet for it. And then I also started The Memory Police, and I really enjoyed it. I listened to one chapter of it, but I think this is a book that me and my mom are starting to do buddy reads together, and I think it's something that she would really enjoy. So I'm actually going to save it for a future month and recommend that me and her read it together. So I am going to replace that one, but I don't know with what, and that'll probably be next week that I figure that out. Okay, so that says Instagram break. Cool. I've actually been avoiding Instagram a lot recently, just for it consumes too much of my time, and I have barely any time as is, so that'll be nice. I will not be taking that tonight though. And then the bottom one that I can flip is watch a TV show. Okay, cool. I'm actually in the middle of rewatching Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, so I'll probably put on an episode or two of that. Not tonight. I think tonight I'm gonna do some reading. And this is what the board looks like. I have no bingos, but I'm definitely getting close. on this side, especially because I will be making a huge dent into Legacy of Steel. I am currently reading Legacy of Steel and Words of Radiance. I actually made a dent into Words of Radiance today. I think I was at like 38% and now I'm like at 44%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for how big that book is, it actually is a decent amount, so I'm happy with that. I haven't been able to read much of Legacy of Steel because I need to be able to physically read and listen at the same time, and that's just difficult for me. But I think tonight I'm gonna go shower. It's 8 o'clock right now, so shower, and then I'll have a good at least 45 minutes to an hour to read it, and then that'll put me really good. That should give me about 50 pages read. I should have just said goodbye yesterday because it's Thursday, July 29th, and I realized this vlog's been going on long enough. It's time to start a new one. I'm gonna say goodbye to you all here. I've been doing some reading, but it's just been Words of Radiance and Legacy of Steel. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I will definitely be going back into weekly vlogging starting in August, so stay tuned, get excited. I'm really excited. I'm psyched. I have nothing else to say. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them, and I don't remember how my outro goes, but until next time, I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye!